our community, our hometown. This is Kearney Live on 102.7 FM, our hometown radio station. Kearney Live is presented by Kearney Trust, 310 West 92 Highway in Kearney, 816-628-6666. And now here's the hosts of Kearney Live, Mike Davis and Jim Dickerson.
Thank you so much. We appreciate our live studio audience for being with us today. My voice, I'm sure, sounds a little bit high, higher than Jim's and Mike's. Unfortunately, they are not able to be with us today, so the show is probably going to sound a little bit different. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. We'll find out as we go along. So today, I am your guest host. I am Stacie Bratcher. I'm the Executive Director of the Kearney Chamber of Commerce. Filling in for Jim and Mike. We miss you both. Speedy recovery to Mike. I also like to introduce our fantastic one and only, my best friend, General Manager of the 102.7 FM radio station, Mr. Brian Watts.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Stacie. That was so kind. That's way better than I get from Mike and Jim.
I'm trying to raise the bar a
All
little
right,
bit
good
here,
deal.
So. Well, we have a fantastic guest with us today. I'm so excited to get to be the one to interview. We have with us Clay County Presiding Commissioner, Mr. Jerry Nolte. So, Jerry, you and I met, I don't know, over 10 years ago, many years ago.
We'll leave it at many years.
Many years ago. Back when you were in the state legislature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was, I was obviously representing the area I live in, which is generally Gladstone, but, Clay County and the Northland are the area that I really feel at home at. So while I was based out of Gladstone, so to speak, I looked upon Clay County as being, where I needed to be seen and to represent folks.
Absolutely. Now, how many years did you spend in Jeff City?
8 years.
8 years. So you had 2 terms?
4.
4 terms. You did full 4 terms. That's awesome. And then in your spare time, I don't know if it's a job or a hobby, but you are an artist cartoonist.
Right. Actually, until I got kind of as deep into politics as I have, but since 78, I've been a full-time cartoonist. So doing work for Hallmark for different sorts of advertising and whoever would basically hire me to do it. Awesome. So yeah, I did that. I even wrote jokes, did editorial cartoons. I kind of had a little bit of a varied career in the cartooning biz.
Awesome. So even though Jim is gone today, hopefully you can fill in with some color.
Yeah, I brought my paints.
Okay, that's fantastic. So let's get to Clay County. Mm-hmm. It's been a hot topic in the last few years, just Clay County in general, the government, what have you. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of bad things, recently a lot of good things happening. The most recent is we have new commissioners, we have some new staff members, we have a new constitution. Tell us about all of those things.
Well, it is. I mean, we've really turned a chapter, especially at the beginning of this year. As you say, new constitution, new commissioners, new staff, and we'll talk about later, obviously, we're going to be entering our bicentennial. So we've got a lot of things that are becoming more and more emblematic of the fact that we've turned a real corner here. We've got a new county administrator, and we have new staff as far as those who are doing the deputy administrator work. So we've really come a long ways in turning government around. And a lot of it, and the way that it, I think, is going to affect citizens, probably, maybe most obviously, is the nature of our meetings. We now meet 4 times a week. We have reinstated public comments on non-agenda items, so
right.
So a citizen can come up and talk about, obviously within reason, anything that they would care to, and make their opinions known.
That's awesome. And you've also added evening sessions.
That's right. What we do is we are meeting 4 times a month. And so the first and fourth meetings, first and third meetings are daytimes, Thursdays at 10 a.m., broadly speaking. And then on the second and fourth Wednesdays of the month, we meet at 6 p.m.
Okay.
The idea is that we give citizens the maximum amount of opportunity to come before the commission and see what we're up to.
Nice, nice. And will the online option still remain the hybrid kind of attend from home thing?
Well, right now we are back meeting in person. Which is great. In fact, we're going to be taking up at tomorrow's meeting. We're going to take up the idea of revisiting the restrictions that we had put in place within the building itself, within the government building, because we've got new guidelines now from CDC, the Clay County Health Centers, and all that. So that's something that we have that we're going to be addressing. And in fact, is my plan consistent with with what we're getting from the professional doctors. Professional health department people, that I probably will not be wearing a mask tomorrow because we're all vaccinated. We're all pretty much following all the guidelines, so that won't be necessary. But one of the things that I do want to make sure people understand is we are live streaming all of our meetings now, so it's absolutely possible to be able to, if you're not able to attend in person, to either log in and see it or log on to our archives and If it wasn't, if you needed a way to spend an evening, go ahead and thumb through the archives.
If you're a little lonely, you can spend the evening with the commissioners. That'd be great.
I'll spend the evening with any citizens who so want to do that in that manner. And
you mentioned there's a new email update option?
Correct. You can get on our claycountymo.gov website, and there is one of those little button things that you can push, and you can sign up for email updates so that, our agendas that are coming up, which obviously are published, but other news, our press releases, that sort of a thing. So it gets you a little bit more in the know, but obviously it's something you need to sign up for. We're not just sort of harvesting emails and sending them out to everybody, regardless of whether they want to hear from us or not.
Right. Well, and if you also want to stay up to date, you can always check out Jerry Nolte's Facebook page.
Yes, that's something that's always out there, and I try to. There's a lot less controversy going on, which is great. We are now in a place where we're constantly talking about good things going on in the county. So that is a very pleasant change indeed.
That is great. Well, let's talk about some of those good things. You have an emergency rental assistance program happening that you've just announced.
That's correct. That's also on our website, and I've got. I'll hold this up for those. There, I'm sure the listening audience can see that.
You got that, Brian?
What it is a program that comes down from the federal government, and it allows that those whose jobs have been affected, their finances have been impacted by the COVID-19 virus, and they've gotten behind on their rents, that they're able to apply for this. It also would include utilities as well, gas and electric, that sort of thing, and it's a really great program because it not only helps those who are, kind of in a hole, and it helps them to dig out, obviously a little faster, but a lot of our landlords end up being people who are in fact small business owners.
Right.
They don't own vast complexes. They've got 10 or 15 rental properties. So when rents don't come in, it impacts them dramatically.
Absolutely.
And so you can get on there and apply, and it is applied to jointly by the tenant and the landlord.
Okay. So
that I think it's a good program. We just put it into place. You get online and you can hit, it's actually under ERAP, claycountymo.gov/ERAP.
ERAP.
ERAP. Thank you.
There you go.
And that's Emergency Rental Assistance Program.
Excellent. Now, so what happens with that money? Does it go to the tenant, and how do you know if they spend it correctly?
It is, well, I'll give you an example of kind of how it works. We had a problem with our roof. We made our insurance claim, and essentially the check from the insurance company came back to us, and it was made out to both ourselves and the vendor who was doing the roof.
Okay.
So in this particular instance, the check, it is made payable to the landlord, so there's no concerns that there might be some issue as far as where it goes.
Right. And how many times can you sign up for this?
Right now, we're kind of at the beginning of it. As far as repeating goes, there's some guidelines, and they will be online there, and they'll kind of help you through it.
Okay.
And if you call in, and this is mainly for Clay County citizens, non-Kansas City, but we are partnering. The United Way is the organization that is doing the overall organizational part of it. They are also working with Kansas City. So if you log in on this and you're in the wrong jurisdiction, it will put you in the right place. So you don't have to worry about starting from scratch. They can then guide you into the correct political subdivision.
Excellent. Well, I know that we have a local organization, Kearney Enrichment Council, which runs the Kearney Firehouse Community Center, and they have one of these programs. They were one of the grantees that was awarded this opportunity, and so that's two opportunities that our Clay County citizens have, is either through the Clay County government website to sign up, or you can sign up through the Firehouse Community Center website. And I know Kurt and Andrew would be happy to talk to you and help you out with that. So if you have any questions, check that out on either website. So, okay, Jerry, what else is going on? I think I heard something about a celebration, a bicentennial coming up.
Yes, the county was founded in 1822. So mathematics will dictate to us that our bicentennial is coming up in the next year. We have just seated our 11-person panel to start the ball rolling on that. So we're very anxious to see what goes on. In fact, they were just appointed, I believe, at our last meeting.
Okay.
So they are getting ready to meet, and then they will be putting together whatever celebratory kind of events that they can do. I hope that maybe this time next year we're looking at some kind of an event that's really their thing to delve into. But as we looked at this stuff, we found that on the grounds of the courthouse, the county courthouse, there's a time capsule. And it's a little bit like the Christmas presents don't open until Christmas.
Right.
This one says don't open, and it doesn't say don't open. But it basically is due to be opened in 2022.
Fascinating.
So what I would really like to see, and I think it'd be very cool, is we open that up, and then at that same kind of approximate time, we put in another
Put a
one
new one in.
that is maybe for, say, 2072.
That would be great.
So I'm kind of anxious to see what's in there.
Yeah, that will be very interesting. Now, this celebration is separate from the state's, is it sesquicentennial?
No, it's bicentennial for the
Is it for the state as well, bicentennial?
I believe so.
We're celebrating that this year, the states, and so then we just get to continue the celebration into Clay County next year.
We follow it on. In fact, excuse me, there is an ice cream social, I think it is, scheduled for August, so hopefully we can, that is for the state celebration, so hopefully we can use that as a way to springboard our county bicentennial.
Excellent.
So I think it's going to be great. Like I say, we're off and running. We've got we got some of the material put together already. So one of the great things about this is everybody's been cooped up. Everybody's been kind of restricted. I think everybody's looking for a reason to kind of kick up their heels a little bit, kind of have a little fun.
Yeah. Well, if you're interested in learning more about the state's bicentennial, our own Kearney Historic Museum has a fantastic 1920s display going on at the museum. You can go check that out. I believe the museum is going to be doing more about the state's celebration as the year goes on. And then is there a way for them to find out more about the county's celebration at this point yet, or are we still just in the planning stages?
We're still putting it together. Like I said, they just got seated, so we will see how they want to interact with the public. But there will be a number of public meetings that will be noticed up. So hopefully citizens will have a chance to go in and just maybe make suggestions, hear what's going on, just participate in general.
So you said the committee just got seated. How does a Clay County citizen get involved on that level? How do you get nominated for a committee?
Glad you asked. Once again, on our handy-dandy claycountymo.gov site, there is another button that you can hit, and that would be one where you can apply for different boards and commissions, and they are all listed.
Okay.
Some of the boards and commissions are prescribed where they have to have certain qualifications. For instance, on the disabilities board, there has to be some connection to someone with disabilities or a medical background or whatever. Sometimes there are geographical not limitations so much as requirements that we go from throughout the county. But for the most part, they are advisory committees that are open to, there are no special qualifications except an interest and a passion for the subject matter.
Great. Wow, you've got a lot going on at the county.
It's getting to be busy. We're
is.
like I said, there's been a lot of pent up kind of energy, and now we're able to get out there and do some things.
Yeah. Well, and it's easier to do things when you're out from underneath the weight of unnecessary lawsuits and the such. Do you want to address any of those?
Absolutely. In no small part because it's good news. We have gone through we had a number of lawsuits that we had to have resolved. We have pretty much resolved them. And in fact, we're distributing information, I should say, pursuant to some sunshine requests that were part of a legal problem. But the big news in that, quite quickly, is that last year we spent something on the order of $1.275 million.
Oh, my goodness.
This year projections are we're looking at 150,000.
Whoa.
That's like a 90% cut in our
huge
legal
difference.
overhead. But we're not picking fights with people on lawsuits. We're trying to just do our job, and that makes things a lot easier.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to stop you there, but we need to go to a break. But let's pick this back up when we come back and explore it a little deeper. Thank you, Jerry.
You love the programming? Say a special thank you to the underwriters like these who support KPGZ.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. The world has become fast-paced, and we understand that you are busy. That's why we offer a banking experience that's as simple and stress-free as can be. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. You may just be getting off the ground or ready to move into your brick and mortar building. Kearney Trust will provide you and your business with the resources you need to succeed. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
All right. Well, here we are back at 102.7 FM with Clay County Presiding Commissioner, Mr. Jerry Nolte. And before we left for the break, you were letting us know about the difference in our budget with getting rid of the legal fees and the money that we have saved just because of that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a combination of not just the legal fees, but the fact that we were involving ourselves in so many different lawsuits. One of the probably, in my opinion, more ridiculous was the one involving the sheriff's department.
Oh, yes.
They were requesting, I think, reasonable funding from us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the budget was unreasonable. In fact, there was some issue made that I was referring to it as a garbage budget. Yeah,
well,
sad but true. As it turns out, the sheriff prevailed in court. But the long and the short of it is, he should not have to have gone to that extent. We should have worked cooperatively with the sheriff's office. That's a very important basic function of government, and we need to be working together. And to tell you the truth, we are now. In fact, I just had I sat down with the new sheriff, Will Aiken.
yes.
Probably we had an hour and a half discussion about what he sees going forward, how he sees, doing different things in his office. And I got to tell you, I'm really excited. He's a dynamic young man.
He is. He was just in Kearney a month or two ago speaking at the chamber luncheon. and the things that the programs he's got going on, all the new things he's introduced, it's just amazing what he's doing with that organization, and especially with the commissioner's backing and the backing of the budget. What a difference that's making. And all of us at that luncheon agreed, we feel so much more safe and comfortable in our county knowing that he's at the lead and that our deputies are there protecting us.
Well, I'm not going to steal his thunder from the conversations we had, but what I can tell you is Will has not run out of ideas. He is going to have other things that are going to be going forward. So it's a really exciting time. And I got to tell you, one of the reasons that we have this cooperation is in no small part to our new commissioners, John Carpenter and
Yes.
Megan Thompson. They have been great to work with.
Fantastic.
It's a matter of us all. It's not as though we agree on each and every particular, but we are willing to work with one another, and we are willing to hear the other person out, and
to discuss things.
Work
openly. It out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just such a breath of fresh air.
That is so great to hear. That I know that's one thing that I've been curious about is how has that new relationship been going, that new work environment, and if from all appearances it looks like it's thriving, but people you never know what's happening behind closed doors.
Well, and
so,
it's great that we're able to do this, and we can let go of things. No single commissioner has to do everything. For instance, when we've dealt with some of the COVID-19 issues, John has taken lead on some of that stuff. And, Megan has issues she's taking lead on. So, I mean, it's not as though it has to flow from one commissioner, but we are able to actually put people into things. In fact, Megan is a new office that was created under the Constitution, is the office of Presiding Commissioner Pro Tem.
That's right.
And I was very happy that she accepted the role of being the Pro Tem, which means that if I'm not there, she jumps in and takes over, which I have every confidence she would do a great job if need be.
That's so great to hear that you have that confidence and that you have a team that you can work with. It's fantastic. So what is this about? We used to be paying lobbyists, and
Yes.
What was that all about?
We some years ago, we hired in 2 groups of lobbyists, which is one would be questionable, 2 feels a little excessive. That was for something on the order of $84,000 a year.
Whoa.
And my question was, so what are we getting for this money? What's the return on that investment? I didn't see any reports. I didn't hear anything about what they were doing or not doing. I would go down there occasionally and find that they were, obviously I was at odds with the other commissioners, but I found myself advocating in Jeff City for a position, and sometimes I was on the opposite end of the argument with my own lobbyists.
Interesting.
Which is a shame. It's not very productive. But to tell you the truth, I'm not sure I am sure we don't really need lobbyists unless we have some specific issue. Just yesterday, I was moderating a forum with our delegation to Jeff City. I know and have a relationship with all of our state reps and senators. So, I mean, it's not really necessary for me to work through a lobbyist. I can call them up, and I can call Doug Ritchie, who's on budget, or I can call Laura and Arthur, and I can say, hey, guys, what's going on with this, or the county really needs that. And I do feel, regardless of their partisan identification, that they are, in fact, open to hearing what we have to say up here at the county. So, again, good relationship with our state delegation.
That's fantastic. I know a lot of our listeners probably, when you hear the word lobbyist, it's a bad word. People don't like lobbyists. It just conjures up not good thoughts.
Sure.
But, I had time to spend in the Jeff City at our Capitol when you were there, and Myron Neff and other of your cohorts. And I learned a lot about the lobbying process, and it is important because I don't think people realize that when you get into politics, whether you're a state representative, state senator, what have you, you can't possibly know everything about everything. And that's where lobbyists come in and help to educate you on the things maybe you don't know or expand your knowledge. But I know sometimes lobbyists take it the wrong way. mislead you, whatever, have personal agendas. But all in all, lobbyists are important. But I like what you're saying, because you and the commissioners are the representatives of Clay County. And I think it makes sense that you are the lobbyists and you are making those personal contacts with our legislators.
Well, of course, we're not literally lobbyists, because that would be a legal term.
Right.
But no, the thing is, a lobbyist, and they're, while lobbyists are not, representing, special interests. I mean, hospitals have lobbyists, all kinds of charitable organizations, a lot of nonprofits have lobbyists.
Yeah.
But a lobbyist in a very real sense is an intermediary between those organizations and their legislators.
Right.
And I guess the takeaway from this is we really don't need an intermediary, because and obviously John is just recently from Jefferson City and knows any number of people down there. So he's able to represent the county's interests in a conversation with no trouble whatsoever. And he obviously understands the process of how things work in Jeff City, what the nuts and bolts are.
Right. That's awesome. I love hearing that. So we also had some issues with an audit.
Yes.
Where does that stand at this point?
Yeah, the citizens, I think, wisely decided that perhaps we should have an outside audit. They weren't sure we were spending their money correctly, and I'm pretty sure they were right.
They might have been right.
And it was something I was very happy to be involved in. I was helping gather signatures and involved in that movement. Once the requisite signatures were acquired, it went to the auditor. The auditor said, all right, good, and then scheduled a time to come in and audit the county's books. And there were a number of, again, legal roadblocks. There's another place where we were spending a lot of dollars on legal help, I guess is one way to put it. At the beginning of this year, and again, I can't think of too many that weren't, but another unanimous thought on the part of the commission was, this is crazy. So we stood down on any legal challenges and began doing what we should have done a year and a half ago, and that is cooperating with the auditors.
Great.
Last I heard, state auditors, I'm not sure if they are still on premises at the county,
okay,
but they are doing their work. They are receiving the cooperation that they should have from county government. The process now to go forth is, once they have assembled all the information they feel they need, to then generate a report, and at whatever point they decide it's ready to go, then they will present it to the commission. And I think the intention of all the commissioners to come forward in a public hearing, present that information to the public, and then from there figure out what kind of reforms are applicable to Clay County. But a lot of them are already in place. I mean, we're already seeing some of the things that should be changed. So I hope we've cut into that list a good little bit already.
Well, that's what I was going to just ask you about is the audit specifically for a certain time frame, and will it take into consideration the changes that have already been made?
It is for a specific time frame, although they have the ability, I think, to go further if warranted. They will, excuse me, I believe that they can go back further if, like I say, if the evidence takes them there.
Right.
But there has to be a cutoff period. I think what they will do is they will see. I'll give you an example. We have outside audits too. One of the things that I had been pushing for a couple of years ago was to not allow one person to sign off on an expense account. There are 4 signature lines. There was one instance where the same person had signed off on 3 of the 4 lines.
Oh, interesting.
Well, that struck me as probably not in the best interest of the county.
Maybe not.
So that was a reform that we undertook back then. And I suspect there will be, that is not on the table anymore because it's resolved, but there will be things where they will suggest better procedures, more transparent procedures, more fiscally responsible procedures.
And so if the auditor does make those suggestions, are those have-tos, or are those truly just suggestions for the new commission to consider?
They're generally going to be optional. One of the changes that they may well suggest, but we're already implementing, and that is to re-include the county auditor, Victor Hurlbert. Really bright guy, really on top of things. There were some instances like the certificate of participation bonding where he was worked around. Again, I believe it's the consensus of the commission. I more than believe it. I know it. to include him and to use his sharp eye and his sharper pencil to make sure that we are doing what we need to do as far as responsibly expending the people's money. So that would be, I could see that as being a suggestion from the state auditor, but that is one that we are already doing. And so I think there are going to be a number of those kinds of suggestions.
Okay. Excellent. Well, and you just provided a perfect segue into my next question, which is property assessments and what can be done if you want to appeal that process.
Mm-hmm. There are a number of steps that you can go through. If when you get your property assessment and you feel as though that it's not accurate, if you feel it's high for whatever reason, we have remarkably few people who come in and say you've underassessed my property. Usually it's the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We're
kind of concluding the process where a citizen can call up the assessor's office and appeal to them directly. We are now getting into the period where there is an entity called the Board of Equalization.
Oh.
Basically, those are a group of 3 citizens selected by the commission who will hear appeals. And the process for going before them and saying, my property's been assessed too high, is to get a hold of the county clerk's office, and her number, I hope she doesn't mind, is 816-407-3570.
And that was for the city clerk?
County clerk.
County clerk. Sorry. Yes, of course, okay. County clerk.
And what she will do then is she will get you the information that you need to fill out a form and then schedule a time when a citizen can go before the Board of Equalization. That will start, I think, July 12th, certainly middle of July is when that process begins, and that will go into August. So you can schedule time to go before this board, present evidence or information, or in whatever other way make your case, and then they have the ability to make some adjustment to it.
Okay. Now, is that board the same as the bond fund review team, or these two different? What am I getting confused?
Two totally different things.
Okay, excellent. Which way do you want to go?
I think we pretty much. I just want to make sure people understood that if they're unhappy with their assessed values, that there is a way to go forward, and to give the Kathy Reinhardt, the assessor, her due. They have been very open in making sure people who come in make appointments. And I've talked to more than one citizen who said, no, they did a good job of putting my properties, more in alignment with what I think the real value is.
Excellent.
What you're talking about is the bond funds review team. I had to read that to make sure I had it correctly. I'll give just a real quick background. This is the certificate of participation. This is the $52 million bond that was undertaken a couple of years ago by the commission at that time. Embedded in that $52 million is the $20 million for the annex project, which we'll get into.
There it is. There's that word, annex.
Yes. And so the thing is, there is a bond covenant that was entered into, and we obviously must honor our contracts.
Right.
But we've been doing our homework because it is something of a complicated document. And to make a mistake could be a very costly mistake. So we have to proceed with some caution. One of the things that we've done is this is a team put together pretty much within administrative staff, or I should say deputy administrators. The administrator, I believe that both the treasurer and the auditor are involved in this. And their job is to analyze the list of expenditures and to make recommendations to the commission, which is where the final decision will rest.
Okay.
And
on how to move forth through these commitments that have already been made, even though we're no longer going that direction.
Well, the thing is, it's basically a list of expenditures. For instance, in that embedded in that was several $1 million for a nature center up at the lake at Smithville, Smithville Lake.
Right.
There were a number of good reasons that was a bad idea. First off, it's not really a necessary expenditure, I think, for the good of the people. But more directly, it is property we lease. We do not own it. And as far as I can tell, no move was made to get the permission of the Army Corps of Engineers, who we would definitely want to be talking with on that.
Right.
So it's a silly project. I think I think if we're going to use that money, roads and bridges seems to be a lot better use of it.
Very important.
So this is kind of a laundry list of what was projected for those to be spent upon and how we can shift them. So we might shift that money over into something more productive for the people.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And it's at least as we are reading the bond covenant, we are required to spend the vast bulk of this money in a rather short period of time. So we want to make sure that we are doing it as well as possible and as responsibly as possible, which obviously we can get more deeply into the annex project itself, but that's the overall kind of issue.
Okay. Fascinating. I didn't know that was going on. I like that. It'll be interesting to see what that team comes up with.
Well, and when they do come up with their recommendations, it will be the subject of an open meeting.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, we have to take another break. This has been fascinating talking to Jerry. When we come back, we're going to go back to that buzzword annex and talk about that.
Programming heard on KPGZ is being underwritten and supported by these local businesses.
Simplify your banking, simplify your life. It's easy with Kearney Trust Company. The world has become fast-paced, and we understand that you are busy. That's why we offer a banking experience that's as simple and stress-free as can be. Kearney Trust goes beyond convenient locations and good customer care to offer banking services that make managing your finances quicker and easier than ever before. Online, bill pay, e-statements, and mobile banking are available to give you a positive banking experience so you can get back to your life and activities. Kearney Trust also provides capital to people and businesses so they can achieve their goals. Whether you know exactly what you want or just need someone to talk to about your dream, you can speak with them and work on that dream. You may just be getting off the ground or ready to move into your brick and mortar building. Kearney Trust will provide you and your business with the resources you need to succeed. Kearney Trust Company is your partner for success with 2 convenient locations in Kearney at 310 West 92 Highway and 701 Watson Drive in Price Chopper. The phone is 816-628-6666. Kearney Trust Company. Banking you can trust. Member FDIC.
We are back on 102.7 FM. I am your guest host, Stacie Bratcher, and we are here with Presiding Commissioner Jerry Nolte. And the question at hand is to annex or not to annex. And I know that the Commission has made some decisions in that regard lately. Will you fill us in?
Well, we are reaching consensus on that. We're looking at our options, and as I mentioned just previously, the covenant is specific and somewhat complicated, so we need to proceed with some due caution.
Absolutely.
Because even saying the wrong thing prematurely could result in some pretty dire consequences financially for the county. So we try to be a little cautious and a little circumspect.
Sure.
But yeah, we are looking. Our focus has moved to the 48th Street location, which is where the existing annex is.
Right.
And in fact, we have. People said during this process, well, why don't you just fix up what you have? That is exactly what we are doing.
Nice. Good.
During that process, when we were talking about that, I ended up taking a picture which kind of got around, which was a door frame in the old annex held together by Scotch tape.
Oh, my.
Some people took exception to that, but it was what it was. So right now we are, in fact, bringing that building back up into some state of good repair, the roof being first and foremost on that list.
Yes, I heard there are multiple buckets to hold rain leaks.
I was in there probably last year sometime, and there were people at their desks with umbrellas. It's like, this is insane.
That's crazy.
It is. It is just as crazy as it can be. So, I mean,
Wow.
what do you tell your children when they ask for something new? Take care of what you have.
That's right.
I
That's
think
right.
I think we can probably put the government in the place of a child and say, take care of what you have.
Right.
So that's what we're busy doing.
Good.
Obviously, one of the first acts again of the commission going forward when we took office early this year was to put everything on hold related to that location on Brighton.
Right.
Right now, we have essentially a hole in the ground with fencing around it.
Yeah, we've seen the pictures.
That what I am advocating for, and I think we'll be able to do. But again, we have to have our plan in place so that we don't do anything that is outside of the bond covenant. But in my estimation, we need to, as soon as possible, fill that hole in, both literally because there's an element of danger even with the fencing, but I think symbolically it is an absolute. We are burying the idea of putting up a 60,000 square foot annex on that location against the will of the citizens. We have to literally bury that idea, and as soon as we can do that, I am ready. So it's a matter of just, getting that done in the proper order,
Right.
so that we don't
Right.
end up causing any problems.
That's great. So I heard John Carpenter speaking recently about the annex and the property and all of the fixes you're going to make to the current property.
Mm-hmm.
But he also mentioned something I just found so fascinating because I couldn't understand it, that the loan or the bond, whatever it is on the new property,
Mm-hmm.
the building that was to be built was actually the collateral for that loan. How in the world can you use something as collateral that doesn't exist?
It's a little bit like when you get if you're going to build a new home, and you get your home loan. There is, obviously you're putting it together contingent on the construction of that house.
Okay.
It's not quite the same thing with the COP. One of the interesting features of this is it's not technically a loan. Basically, what it is it is a loan, but it's a bond, and we are taking this money, but we really don't have to make payments. It's $3.5 million a year, and we don't have to make them. However, the bondholders own that building and other buildings. So if you don't make your payment, it's a lease payment. It's not a debt. And so if we don't make the payment, that we could be evicted.
Oh, interesting.
So that's kind of a heavy stick. I mean, it's we are tied up very tightly in some facets. We are very tied on this thing, and that's what we're trying to do is untie some of those
right.
rather sticky legal knots. And I think we're doing a good job of sorting through them, but it takes time, and you got to do your homework and understand what it is you're dealing with and what the consequences are for just taking an action.
Exactly. And trying not to burn any bridges along the way.
Right. I mean, it's like I say, it's I had the experience this weekend of untying a big ball of yarn with my grandsons. And so we were doing the little thing, and every so often one of them would get excited, they're 3 and 5, and pull on it and tighten the knot down. It's like, no. That's we loosen the knot, and then we work it through and we get it done. So we are in the process of working through that knot experience.
I'm sure all the women can relate from unknotting their jewelry, and the men can relate from unknotting the Christmas lights. So that was a perfect example. So, all right. I think, was there anything else on the annex that is interesting that you want to share?
Well, like I said, we are looking at a lot of different options, and we have to. The thing is, we've got a number. While we are in fact constricted in many ways, there are other ways that we have the ability to see our way to do other things. Again, shifting the expenses around. There are some needed repairs at the jail that obviously have been on the table for some time.
Yeah.
We can't collateralize the jail.
Mm-hmm.
That actually would, my understanding is that would be a violation.
Oh, interesting.
Because you can't commit either court or sheriff's property to the COP as collateral. It's just not legal. Because you can't repossess a jail, and you can't repossess a courthouse.
Very interesting.
You can repossess our office building all day long. Or I should
Come
say,
get Jerry's desk.
Yeah, as long as I don't have to lift it. But but we can, I think, move money into those things because they are, and in fact, once again, that's something that I've talked with the sheriff about before, and it was part of our conversation the other day. Is what do we do? What is the most necessary? What is the most pressing need? We can't do everything, so the sheriff has always been very good about prioritizing his needs in a very realistic manner.
Yes. Excellent. Brian, have we had any callers or our studio audience or anyone have any questions that they want to ask?
Nope, I haven't seen any, but I was thinking while Jerry was talking about people that have, I can't think of the term now. I guess my question would be, is there any real possibility of somebody just coming in and saying, we're tired of this situation, we want to repossess Jerry's office? Is that a real possibility, or is that just something that
you mean me not like being allowed in my office kind of a thing?
Right, or can somebody repossess the courthouse or the parks department building or something like that? Is that a real possibility?
Well, if we're talking about the COP in context of the COP, as long as we make our obligations, no, it's not going to happen. Because to tell you the truth, it's like any other collateralized loan. The bank or whoever, in this case the bondholders, they're not interested in taking the collateral. They're interested in getting what is contractually due, and that is their payment. But something else that's coming up, and that we're kind of at the front end of, and that is Washington has seen fit to send a good deal of money our way.
Oh, excellent!
Over the next 2 years in 2 tranches, that we're going to get $48 million.
Whoa!
Yeah. 24 this year, 24 next year.
Okay. What are we doing with it?
Well, what we do is we have just gotten last week our regulations on how we may and may not spend it. We had some broad guidelines, but the truth of the matter is, if we misspend it, we may well have to pay it back. So you really want to get the rules of the road straight.
Yep.
What we have done is we put together an account, again, working with the auditor, Victor Hurlbert. He's put together separate accounts so that the money can be segregated so that there's no intermingling of funds.
Right.
And we can account for it all.
Very good.
But one of the uses that I think is one that bears very good investigation and very much, I think, is a qualified expense is the possibility of expanding broadband.
That'd be fantastic.
That was at the beginning of this process. That was one of the things that jumped out at all of us who were looking at it, and it was right in there.
Well, the state legislature just passed something about that as well.
See, I'm trying to remember what exactly that was. I'm not sure if it passed or not. I just went through that legislation.
It did, but I don't remember what the terms of it were. But, our own school children here in Kearney are having to drive to different parking lots in order to use Wi-Fi because they don't have it at home. So I'm hoping maybe what you're talking about might be a solution.
Well, once again, it bears investigating because I think it would be a qualified expense. We just got our 150 some odd pages of guidelines. So right now, our team is going through that. Our team, meaning the administrators, Victor Hurlbert, Bob Nance, our treasurer, are going through that, analyzing that so they can say, okay, this works, this does not. I've reached out to some people to try to get some background. What I want to get are, for instance, first and foremost, a map of internet coverage.
Oh, that'd be fascinating.
So we know what it is we're looking at, and if we're going to proceed with those areas that have the most growth and the most need. There's no reason to start it in a place where nobody lives.
Right.
So we want to make sure that we are doing it in an organized manner. But I see it now. Obviously, it is a great help for those who are trying to do their schoolwork and they're not on site. Hopefully we're beyond that, but you never know. But the other thing that I see on this is this is like any other kind of infrastructure, whether it's roads or utilities. Mm-hmm. This is something that is absolutely necessary for the economic growth and development of this county. And if we can start putting that in there, that just makes us more attractive for new businesses to either develop or locate here, and that is a big deal. That now we're talking about jobs, and we're talking about increasing the prosperity of people in Clay County.
Absolutely. It's a big deal. And I'm going to put the citizens of Kearney at the front of the line for that. So as you're thinking about that, keep us in mind, and we're happy to share any information you might need.
Well, you did give me a cup of coffee, so I'm a cheap date.
That's fantastic. So you've also had lots of other things going on besides lawsuits and annexes and different things like that we're all tired of hearing about. You recently introduced Hannah's Law.
Yes.
You want to tell us about that?
Sure. Hannah's Law is something that's been kicking around for a very long time. In fact, back when I was in the legislature, a friend of mine here in the county had a granddaughter who unfortunately passed away as a result of that kind of a situation. I won't go into it because I need to respect the privacy of the family. But it was something I tried to get through the legislature. I was unable to do that. In fact, it was taken up by others. I don't know if John worked on it. I'm pretty sure Senator Arthur worked on it. I'm sure that Kenny Wilson worked on it, the former state rep. So, I mean, there were a lot of people working to get this thing through, and it's still in play in Jeff City. It just sometimes takes a long time to get something through Jeff City.
Yes, it does.
Not so much so the county. So we were able to put that into place, and essentially it is a requirement that that children wear life preservers, so that if they fall off of a boat or if they are somehow endangered, they have a flotation device so that they have a better chance of coming out of this thing with just a little bit of wet hair, hopefully.
Yes, so important, especially here in the Clay County area with Smithville Lake. And I
hope that gives it a little bit of impetus to maybe make it a little bit more of an issue in Jeff City. But we will see how it goes. But here in Clay County, we've responded.
We only have a few more minutes, and I'm going to put my chamber hat on. What I really want to know about is Governor Parson was here recently talking about workforce development and job creation. That is a huge topic in the Kearney business community, and I know other business communities around us. What is Clay County doing to help with workforce development and job creation and getting people to actually take the jobs that are available?
That is a challenge. I was here when the governor came in, and happily, actually, I don't know if you knew this or not, but he and I shared an office in our freshman term together.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that.
So it's always good to see the governor. I won't obviously I call him by his first name when we're talking, but there are a number of things going on. He was here to visit the Casey Tech Academy, which is all about putting together those kinds of jobs.
Right.
That is in conjunction with the Clay County Economic Development Council. Unfortunately, they have had a rather tempestuous relationship with county government. We have once more reinstated them with the county and started funding them again. They had a vital role to play in the Manufacturing Jobs Act, which was a piece of legislation I had when I was in the legislature that was, I think, very important in keeping the Ford Clay Como plant here and open.
Oh, that was wonderful that we got that.
But like I say, they've performed a lot of very good tasks, but by getting involved with EDC, I think we are expanding our talent base. And also, one of the other things that we're doing is we are now engaging much more with chambers of commerce. We had allowed some of our memberships to lapse. I think that's a bad idea.
Yes.
I'm sure you think so
Chambers
as well.
are very important, Jerry.
So we are re-engaging and possibly, I wouldn't say most importantly, but something else that I'm a big fan of is engaging with our municipalities. That's 95% of our population in this county. I've said it before and I'll say it again, that the future of this county and how we go forward as a county government is completely tied with our relationship with our cities, and that has to be stronger.
I absolutely agree. One of our objectives in the Kearney Chamber is making sure that we have strong relationships and that we maintain those with our local government, with our county government, with our schools. It only makes sense so that the entire community can thrive. When you're in conflict, as we've all seen as county citizens over the last few years, it just doesn't work.
You're right. And the thing is, I think of it in terms of a team, and I happen to like baseball. You can't have a team full of shortstops. So you've got the county government, which can do its particular part of the team effort. The municipal governments, they have a part to play. Chamber of Commerce, EDCs.
Right. Absolutely.
Private business, they all have their role to play, and it really doesn't kick into high gear until everybody is in their position and manning that position in a meaningful way.
Definitely agree. Brian, do we need to ask Jerry another question, or is it time for announcements? Okay. Well, Jerry, I'll give you one last tidbit. Mm-hmm. Anything last that you want people to know about the vaccinations, transparency?
Vaccinations are going well. We are right now, we are getting ready this meeting tomorrow to review our, as I said, the mask ordinances. We're going to have Gary Zabarak, the Clay County Health Center's director, in to make a report. We exhausted the last of our CARES Act money, putting it into vaccinations with Operation Safe.
Yes.
That was $106,000, and the anticipation is we would like to take some of this money, this $24 million this year coming in, and put some of that money towards making whole the consortium. That is to say that the hospitals and the health centers and Cerner who put in millions of dollars to make this happen, and we need to make them whole at some level.
That's fantastic. Jerry, it has been such a pleasure having you here today. Thank you for your time. I do have some ideas for that emergency money I'd like to talk to you about off air, but next week, please join us again as we speak with Small Business Administration Director Michael Barrera. Thank you for joining us today, and Jerry Nolte, Brian Watts, and we look forward to seeing you at the Chamber and around town and in the county. Thank you.